Today, let's delve into the burning question: do internet dating sites work? And why don't they? So, back in the day, dating was hard. I mean, there was never a time when it was easy. At least I don't think there was. And there was eyes across a crowded room, there was the chat up lines, there was the whole rigmarole you had to go through. And let's be honest, for most blokes, it usually ended in tears. But you kept trying because that's what we're programmed to do, that's what nature intended. Of course, we all had that friend. Maybe he wasn't all that bright, maybe they were lacking in some of the social graces. But all they had to do was show up because they were buff and good looking. They just had to basically be there to get some action. Most of us were not so lucky, so we had to employ all the myriad of tricks of the trade to try and create something out of nothing. So, with the advent of internet dating, which is now massive, it's huge. I remember a time in the 90s when the internet was seen as the preserve of weirdos, psychopaths, people that had something wrong with them, or social misfits. That was the internet. It was like, God, I'd never meet anybody I met online. What? No, well, they're quite obviously a psycho. Now that's changed. I think now it's not even an age thing. It's certainly not a weirdo thing because everybody's using it. I mean, the thing has exploded, and I think it's now across all age groups and all demographics. It is probably the most popular way to meet someone. So there you go. All right, so let's have a look at this question, this burning question of the age about internet dating sites. It seems these days most relationships, I think, start on the internet or because of the internet or through the internet, especially in the last year and a bit since, well, people couldn't really go anywhere to socialize, and options for dating were extremely restricted. So I guess even though it was already exploding and had been exploding for years, I guess that just funneled more people into the internet, interweb dating situation. So let's have a look at an article here from Psychology Today, from Ryan Anderson, PhD. Don't know who the guy is, but I guess he must be somebody of some note since he's got a PhD. I guess he should know what he's talking about. He has an article here, The Ugly Truth About Online Dating. Are we sacrificing love for convenience? Well, let's see what he has to say about that. Maslow's hierarchy of needs and conventional wisdom both suggest that love is a fundamental human need. Well, yeah, I'd go along with that. Most people meet their significant others through their social circles or work/school functions. Well, that's how it used to be, certainly. He goes on to say, however, these pools can be relatively shallow. In the search for a potential date, more and more people are switching to less traditional methods. Now, this was written in, when was it written? 2016, so kind of 5 years on from that, and I think it's just gotten way more normal than even it was then. He continues, online dating is really popular. Using the internet is really popular. A survey conducted in 2013 found that 77% of people considered it very important to have their smartphones with them all the times. This is true. It's just like, you're joined at the hip to your mobile phone now. From the moment you get out of bed, you're flicking it on and flicking through it, see what happened when you were. I mean, it's It's quite a change in a very quick space of time, societally. But it's true, people are inextricably joined to their mobile devices. If you want to think, with the rise of apps like Tinder and the various copycat models, who could blame them? If you want to think about dating as a numbers game, and apparently many people do, well, it is. You could probably swipe left, right between 10 to 100 times in the span of time it would take you to interact with one potential date in real life. That's absolutely true. It's completely instantaneous. There's no lead up, there's no build up, there's no making a plan and concocting a plan and executing the plan, that's all been done away with. They've taken all the art out of it. He goes on to say, with the popularity of sites like eHarmony, Match.com, OkCupid, and countless others, there's an absolute myriad of sites now for every possible conceivable niche, nook, and cranny. They're all there for you. The stigma of online dating has diminished considerably in the last decade. I'd say there's no stigma now at all. There's just none. I mean, from where it started, and I remember when it started, to where it is now, complete sea change. Totally different landscape. There's absolutely no stigma. According to the Pew Research Center, the overwhelming majority of Americans suggest that online dating is a good way to meet people. Online dating services are now the second most popular way to meet a partner. I'd say they're the most popular by now, and that's only 5 years ago. I'd say they're on, and especially in the last year with the whole pandemic thing going on. Yeah, there was literally, they had no competition. I mean, where else are you going to meet somebody? Stopped in traffic? I don't know. The popularity of online dating is being driven by several things, but a major factor is time. Online dating presents an effective solution to a serious problem. Browsing profiles isn't nearly as time-consuming or daunting. Well, it's not. You do it in your pajamas in your spare room or watching the telly, as mixing with people in a social context. Statistics suggest that about 1 in 5 relationships now begin online nowadays. I'd say it's way more than that now. 1 in 5? Nah, it's way more than that now. It's estimated that by 2040, 70% of us will have met our significant other online. I'd say it's going to be higher, to be honest. I'd say online meeting is going to be the default way, and it's going to be like something you'll tell at parties if you didn't meet your partner online. It'll be like, hey, I've got a really great story, a cool story for you, how we didn't meet online. It goes on, the problem with a lot of online dating applications is that they don't really work. Before you throw caution to the wind and empty your wallet into the pockets of an online app with the reckless abandon of a love-struck teenager, there are a few things you should know. Number 1, people lie on their online dating profiles. Well, tell us something we don't know. Okay, this is hardly an earth-shattering revelation. People want to be appealing. Most people probably wouldn't be surprised to learn that it's more common for people to lie on their online profile than to be completely honest. Well, yeah, of course. A study of over 1,000 online daters in the US and UK conducted by global research agency Opinion Matters found some very interesting stats. A total of 53% of US participants admit to having lied on their online dating profile. Women apparently lie more than men. Okay, good man. With the most common dishonesties being about looks. Over 20% of women posted photos of their younger selves. I think everybody does that, to varying degrees. But men were only marginally better. Their most common lies were about their financial situation, specifically about having a better job than they actually do. More than 40% of men indicated that they did this, but the tactic was also employed by nearly 1/3 of women. I mean, you're going to put your best foot forward, aren't you? I mean, there's nothing new there. I mean, you're doing that when you were out back in the old days. You were kind of, wearing your shoes that made you look a bit taller, and you were kind of wearing, your various attire to make you look slimmer or whatever. This is not really anything new here. While dishonesty was slightly less prevalent among the British sample, 44% did admit to lying on their profile. In both the US and UK samples, dishonesty declined with age, as in you get older, you give less of a fuck, basically. Maybe older people are just more interested in projecting their real self rather than in imagining their ideal version. I think older people just yeah, he's right there. And also, speaking as an older person, what's the point? What's the point of just concocting a whole Walter Mitty version of yourself? There isn't really. So you dicky up a false version of yourself, and then you meet up with somebody who's also dickied up a false version of themselves. I mean, where's it going? Where's that going to go? Nowhere. The whole thing is built on sand. So I think older people get that, and they're just thinking, nah, honestly, I can't be arsed. This is me, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what I think. Yeah, take it or leave it. Number 2, looking for a relationship. That must mean all you want is sex. One of the big problems with online dating for women is that although there are genuine relationship-seeking men on the sites, there are also plenty of guys on there simply looking for sex. While most people would agree that on average men are more eager for sex than women, it seems that many men make the assumption that if a woman has an online dating presence, she's interested in sleeping with relative strangers. Don't know. Let's go on. Online dating does represent the convenience of being able to meet others that you possibly never would have otherwise. That's absolutely true. But women should be aware that they probably will receive rude, disgusting messages from horny guys, sexual propositions / requests, dick pics, and a lot of creepy vibes. Yes, that's, anybody knows that who has ever, interacted with these sites. And women get an absolute onslaught of this. I know from talking to friends and from having conversations about this. This is not, there's nothing wrong with what he's saying there. That's absolutely the truth. Number 3, negotiating the scamternet. Let's be honest. The internet is really just a super elaborate and sophisticated farce designed to distract you from having your pockets picked by greasy con men in cheap suits, right? Not quite, but it is full of unscrupulous vendors looking to separate you from your money by whatever means possible. In brackets, in other news, have you heard about the secret to getting killer abs in less than 7 minutes using this one weird trick? Well, we've all seen those ads popping up everywhere. I mean, does anybody actually click on those? I often wondered, does anybody actually... Well, there probably is a section of people who just want those amazing abs in 7 minutes with that one weird trick, and here's my 100 quid. Thanks. The article goes on, there are pitfalls and tripwires in every sphere of life. There are. But this may be particularly true in the context of online dating. There are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of online scams, and I'm not going to run through any in detail here. Do some research before you go giving your bank details to Nigerian princes promising fun moments. As a matter of fact, you should probably be wary of any person, group or entity asking for any kind of financial or personal information. Well, that goes without saying. Okay, set up an anonymous email account from a widely used email service. That's good, actually. That's good advice there. There's lots of it. Everybody's got the normal internet address, the one they use for everything. The daily stuff, work, the personal stuff. Well, if you're going to venture into the nether world, the nether regions of the sites like dating sites and all this sort of malarkey, don't use your real internet email address. Set up a Proton Mail or something, just a throwaway one, and maybe even buy one of those pay-as-you-go phone cards, because there's a capacity for this type of thing to get out of hand, to go wrong. There's a lot of weirdos still knocking around. This is where they go because it's perfect for them. It's anonymous. They can just create some alternate reality, and maybe they just home in on you. Maybe you get caught up in some nonsense. So it's always handy to be able to just cut that loose, and so that it's not infecting your normal infrastructure. You know what I mean? Your normal phone number, say your normal email, all that sort of stuff. Be very wary of that, because when this kind of thing goes wrong, it can go really wrong. Never give out your home phone address or personal email unless you absolutely trust the person, as in there's something going on, you've got a thing going, it's becoming, if not, it is a relationship. And even then, be careful, because we all know they can go wrong, really wrong too. So give it a bit of time. Just chill out. Don't rush to these things. Goes on, drive yourself to the date. Your date doesn't need to know where you live. Well, that's a no-no. Just keep all that offside. Especially, as I said, till the thing gets into its stride. Then play it as you see it. Keep an eye on your drink/food. Well, that's just a safety first thing. Pay half of the bill. Okay, well, a lot of guys just want to do what guys have traditionally always done. That doesn't mean they have to, and it doesn't mean that they should be that it should be incumbent on them to do. But look, if a guy wants to do it, let him. But again, it's a play it as you see it type thing. Everybody's, especially on the first date or few dates, everybody's trying to figure out what the hell is going on and who the hell are you, and are you mad? Stuff like that. Let's go on. Of course, there are plenty more do's and do nots of online dating, but I guess the most important thing here is to use your common sense. If something feels off, trust your gut. That's very, very important. Always trust your gut. I mean, there's things going on that you might not rationally know why, but you just feel it. You feel something isn't right. You feel something isn't, and you don't know why. You can't put your finger on it. I gotta say, in my experience, that's, just go with it. There's something, your spidey senses are tingling for a reason. You might not know why or how or what's behind it, but pay attention to it. You don't necessarily have to develop a trust no one and sleep with one eye open approach to online dating, but it's probably worthwhile to have a healthy degree of skepticism in general. Well, that's just a normal life skill thing, but very important with this online dating, because you're meeting people you have no idea, especially initially, who they are. I mean, you've got a few texts going on, maybe, and a bit of to and fro, but a bit of banter on the text thing, but you really don't know who they are. 4, relationships don't last. Never mind the fact that more than 1/3 of all people who use online dating sites have never actually gone on a date with somebody they met online. Really, I didn't know that. That's interesting. More than 1/3 of all people who use online dating sites have never actually gone on a date with someone they met online. Right, all right. I wouldn't have guessed that, but I guess he knows what he's talking about. Those that somehow do manage to find someone else they are willing to marry, and who is willing to marry them, a vanishingly tiny subset, he says, face an uphill battle. According to research conducted at Michigan State University, relationships that start out online are 28% more likely to break down in their first year than relationships where the couples met face to face. All right. Okay. So you meet somebody online, your relationship is a third more likely to founder. Oh, okay. Right. And it gets worse. Oh, Lord. Couples who met online are nearly 3 times as likely to get divorced as couples that met face to face. 3 times. Good jeez, that's pretty horrendous. Wow. 3 times as likely to get divorced if they met online. However, it isn't all misery and woe. Well, thank God for that. While the overwhelming majority of romantic relationships still begin offline, I'd say that's shifting. I don't know. I'd say even in the 5 years since this was done, I'd say that's shifting. I'd say it's shifting. 5% of Americans who are currently in either a committed relationship or marriage indicate that they met their significant other online. Right. Okay, so look, it's like everything in life. You make of it what you can, what you're able. All right, number 5, it makes you picky and judgmental. It's very easy to send one course back, or even one after another, when the menu is overflowing with other potential courses. According to the Association for Psychological Science, reviewing multiple candidates causes people to be more judgmental and inclined to dismiss a not quite perfect candidate than they otherwise would be in a face-to-face meeting. I would say yes, that's absolutely true. If you have an endless supply of potential dates / matches / partners, whatever, you're gonna be, the menu is just never ending. The menu just goes on and on and on and on and on. And how do you pick one? I mean, it's like being given the keys to a toy shop and you can have any toy. Well, within reason. You'd just be in there forever. How would you pick one? You'd just constantly be looking. You'd be constantly, oh no, this is even better. No, but this is even better again. You'd never. I sometimes wonder, is the whole thing about having endless choice, are we as a species, is that a good thing for us? Is that positive for us? Were we better the old ways, where it was hard? I mean, really hard. You had to really work. You really had to put in the hours. You had to grind that thing out. Today you're sitting in your pajamas eating your cornflakes, and you're flicking and mixing and matching and doing all that stuff. I don't know. It's the way it's going. There's no point in pretending it's not. That's an interesting article there from our friend Ryan Anderson, PhD. He's a psychologist currently working as a teaching associate at Monash University. Interesting stuff. I would say even by now, I would say some of that is out of date. I'd say some of that is already, old hat. But we shall keep an eye on it. It's an interesting topic. A lot of people are invested in it, and more people getting invested in it. So, yeah, the ugly truth about online dating.